Hey guys, I've got a bit of a story for you. Um, if you have a weak stomach, probably don't watch this video. I'll um, I'll show you some of the video of the wound if you're interested. But when it initially happened to me, I was quite worried, and I started looking online and seeing other people that had been through a similar experience really helped me and put my mind at ease and just gave me a bit of an idea of what might be happening in the future. Um, so yeah, I'll just get into it. This story is about me and my finger, where I slashed a tendon and had to get surgery to get it reattached. And today is the 3 week point. So I'm 3 weeks in. Um, I had surgery one day after the accident, and yeah, I'll probably update more in the future. Um, but this is the story so far. I'll just get right into it. So 3 weeks ago, oh, I may as well go a little bit further back. Probably mid last year, I decided to get into knife making. It's something I've always been interested in. Um, and I've had a couple of goes at knife making over the years, but I've always been frustrated with the tools that I had. And I wasn't ready to spend the money that it's actually required to get the results that I wanted. It doesn't, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get into knife making, but the kind of work that I want to do kind of requires a good belt grinder, and you want to be able to do your own heat treating. And so anyway, I ended up buying a belt grinder and a kiln and started making knives. And I probably made 15 up until early this year. Um, in the subsequent 6 to 8 months, and this is the last knife that I was making before my accident. And initially it was quite a bit bigger. The knife itself probably went down another another 3 inches or so, and then the tang went on from there. And it was initially a full tang kind of chef's knife. And when I was putting the tang on it, the pins weren't going my way, and then I decided to take them off, and then I mangled the entire tang, full tang part of the knife. So to get something out of the knife, I ended up just chopping the whole handle off and then cutting into the blade to create a new tang. And then I was just so sick of it, I was like, I've got this piece of scrap wood, which is nice wood, but it's really the wrong profile. It's a nice piece of ringigi and a little piece of Richlight on the front. And I was like, this is it. I'm just putting it together and I'll be done with it. But I was kind of rushed. There's no excuse. I was in a rush. And because of that rush, I ended up having a bunch of CA glue in the junction, kind of the ricasso bolster area. You can probably see that there, which I decided to just scrape out with another blade, which I'm not sure if you can see on the blade now. Yeah, there you go. There's a bunch of little scratch marks. And there's ways of getting that out that are slow. They're reliable but slow. And I decided I wanted to use my buffing wheel. So I was holding the knife something like this and pushing this area into the buffing wheel, pushing it into the bottom of the buffing wheel. So if it caught, it would go away from me. But what I didn't consider was that when it caught, obviously I wasn't paying enough attention and wasn't being careful, but it caught the sharp edge as I was buffing it in this junction, and it flipped forwards and through my hand and away into the ground. And I immediately was just very cross with myself. There was a shock of what had happened, and I saw that there was a pretty good wound and blood, so I immediately just grabbed the whole thing to hold it together, and I just felt like the biggest idiot in the world and started walking out, and I was like, actually I better turn the buffer off. So I walked back into the shed and flipped off the machine, and then walked to the back door of our house and called out to the wife. We just brought the kids home from school, which was part of why I was in a rush. I was like, oh, I've nearly got this knife dialed. It just needs a moment more. I'll just pop out to the shed, get that done, and I'll come back in. But it was kind of an interrupted day and an interrupted process on this knife, which if you're interrupting yourself and trying to be fast and trying to just pop out and do a bit without being in the zone, stay away from the buffer, guys. Anyway, go and tap on the wall. I'm like, on the back door, I'm like, babe, I need you to take me to the hospital. Well, get everyone in the car. I need to go to hospital. I'm okay, but let's just get in the car. And I couldn't work the doorknob, so I just walked around the side and climbed over the side gate and went out to the car and just sort of crouched down next to the car because I was starting to feel a bit lightheaded. And got in the car and started to lose vision, which had happened once before when I was working as a carpenter. I had shot my finger with a nail gun, and I had a big nail sticking out of it. Well, not a big nail, it's probably a 50mm fix-out nail. And that didn't hurt either. And I just thought it looked hilarious, and I was walking around the job site showing everyone. I was like, check this out. And then my vision started to go, and everything just went black. And I could hear, I was fine to walk around. I didn't feel dizzy, but my vision was gone. And in that case, I had an apprentice drive me to hospital, and when I lay down, my vision came back. I guess it's a low blood pressure thing, or I don't know what. And then, the doctor's like, no, we just pull those out. And he just pulled it out, and that was it. That was done. Not in this case, though. So I was holding my finger. It wasn't really bleeding because I had the good pressure on it. But got to hospital. The missus went and got me a wheelchair so I didn't have to walk because I was a bit lightheaded and dizzy, and I was worried that my vision was going to really go. But it ended up coming back okay. And then, the doctors looked at it and got me to hold it down and move my finger and try and curl it up. But this last joint had no movement at all, and it just felt to me like it was glued to a board or something. Like no matter what I did, I couldn't get that last knuckle to move at all. And we're a bit isolated up here in Coonabarabran, so the doctor was like, mate, you're just going to have to go to Dubbo tomorrow. And he rang him up and he said they'll be able to do it. Just take yourself to emergency in the morning, get there early, and they'll put the whole thing back together. There's obviously a tendon that's been severed for that movement to not be there. So that's what we did. Went there in the morning. It was my first general anaesthetic, so that was a new experience. But apparently the surgeon on duty or whatever was like a hand specialist. I can't remember the bloke's name, but I will probably have to try and figure out who he was to thank him, because it is going pretty good so far. But got anaesthetised, went to sleep, woke up a couple hours later with like a cast thing. and got told to come back in a week. So yeah, that was the initial kind of 24 hours. And then I started trying to sort of look up online as to what a tendon surgery and recovery could be like. And there's a lot of people have had either a rupture after the fact, so you get the surgery, you get it all sewn up, and then you do something in your recovery where you do too much and you rupture that tendon. And then you can either get more surgery or I don't know. And then the other thing that can go wrong is you get adhesion with the scar tissue, where the scar tissue all adheres because, I don't know, I guess you didn't do enough of your rehab. And then your finger just gets frozen. And no matter what you do, it'll never move. Because all the tissues have adhered to each other. So yeah, I was quite worried about what was going to happen, and then I was worried about the wound itself, if it was going to heal, or because I had antibiotics for a week, but I felt like that wasn't long enough for the wound to actually heal and close up really. But there has been no other infection, and I went back after a week and they had a look at the wound. They were happy with the wound. I got a new cast, a plastic one, thermoplastic, and which I can take off so I can actually clean myself and it doesn't get all stinky, which is good. And the initial instructions was to not move anything at all. And then after 1 week, I was given, the physio told me to just passively curl up all my fingers together, and then I can actively stretch them back out. And to do that 5 times, all fingers together. And then after that, to do 1 finger at a time. So do this finger, then do this finger, do that, then that, and do each of them 5 times. And then after 1 week, try and work towards 10 reps an hour for the following week. And I was a bit worried because the finger itself is kind of fat. So getting that movement, I wasn't sure if I was putting tension on the surgery or if it was just a swollen finger with fluid in it that I should be working. The more I'd work it, the better it would get without putting so much pressure on it that it would actually rupture. But anyway, I just kept doing that. There was a couple of nights where I was asleep, obviously, and then woke myself up by flinching in the night. So just having a dream or something and moving my hand, and it would create this shooting, sharp pain. And the first time that it happened, I was just a bit panicked. I was like, oh no, I was told never to move it. And I've moved it, and I don't know if I've damaged it or what. But after sort of touching it a couple of times and doing a few more reps, it felt okay. So I didn't feel like I needed to get it looked at or anything. And then, yeah, after the 2 weeks, I went back this week and got it looked at again. So now that's 3 weeks in. There was a week with nothing, and then there's 2 weeks of physio, very light movement. And then yesterday I was given the new physio, which is to move actively just a quarter of a rep. So if that's a full rep, then I should be doing a quarter of a rep. And to do that 5 times an hour on top of the one I'm already doing. And then at the end of 1 week, then I can start doing a supported, what the physio would refer to as the tissue pull, where you're doing this kind of movement. I don't know if you can see that. But just having a hand on the table and doing just a very light movement like this. But yeah, I was told not to drive or anything. Obviously, don't use the hand, don't pick anything up. If you pick up something heavy or whatever, you can definitely rupture it. And yeah, I mean, I thought that I would have a lot of lost sensation after the initial. I'll show you what the wound looks like at the end of the video, but there's only really a small part, kind of along the offside of the wound where I've lost sensation. Everything else, the sensation has stayed. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're at 3 weeks. I have had those couple of times in the night where I've moved and woken myself up with pain by flinching. Like last night, I had a dream that I'd picked up like a box, a little like a matchbox type thing, and then spiders were crawling out of it, and I tried to throw it, and that woke me up, and it was kind of painful. But it seems like these little movements, if they're small, and obviously it happened while I was asleep, so there wasn't a great deal of force in it, but it seems like that's okay. But yeah, I'll keep doing as I'm told, and any updates I'll try and let you guys know. I don't know what to expect really in terms of 100%. Like I've been asked a few times of what the likelihood is or how much movement and people just say, look, we're trying to get you to 100%, and that's all they really tell you. So I don't really know the likelihood of getting to 100%. I feel like even if it was missing, I would be able to do most of what I want to do. So I'm not really that scared, but I'm expecting some loss of movement. But yeah, I'll add to this video some of the images of the wound itself, and I'll update everyone again soon. Hopefully, I'm back making knives in a month or two, I suppose. Cheers.
I think you have to ask for me.
The doctor will give you more information.
Yeah, no worries.
Yes, we'll ask you.
I'm not gonna lie, man, that's pretty gross. Pretty sure what you can see there. I'm not sure how much of it you can see, but most of that is what went through. So I'm pretty sure I was buffing it maybe like this, and obviously not being careful enough, and then when it caught, it just flipped it straight forwards through and wherever it wanted to go. Be careful out there, guys.
So the front therapist or I kept the back slab, so we'll have
Document it.
This is the Friday following. Surgery was a Wednesday a week ago. Alright, so we are now 18 days in. And we are still slowly healing. Physio's got me passively pushing it in and actively straightening out each finger. It's still quite puffy in here, and I feel like I am getting a bit of movement here, so let's hope that that comes good. But yeah, guys, wish me luck, and another update soon, I suppose.